Imagine this. You're trapped in addiction, but what if it's a cry for something deeper? Carl Jung reveals the hidden truth. Watch now. Share where you're watching from in the comments below, and let's dive into this story. You're sitting alone, in a dimly lit room, the faint hum of the city outside barely reaching you through the cracked window. In your hand, there's something. A bottle, a cigarette, a screen glowing with endless notifications. Something you know you shouldn't touch, but you do. Your heart races, not with excitement, but with a hollow ache, a craving that claws at your insides like a beast you can't tame. You tell yourself this is the last time, that you'll stop tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. You're trapped, caught in a cycle you can't escape, a prisoner to a need that feels bigger than you. And yet, in the quiet of this moment, a question whispers through the fog of your mind. What if this addiction isn't just a habit? What if it's a cry from something deeper, something you've been running from all along? This is the paradox that haunts you. You live in a world that offers endless ways to feel good. Alcohol, drugs, social media, gambling, even love. Yet the more you chase these highs, the emptier you feel. You've been taught to see addiction as a weakness, a failure of willpower, a problem to be fixed with discipline or shame. You label the addict as someone broken, someone who can't control themselves, someone who's chosen to fall. But what if that's not the whole story? What if addiction isn't just about the substance or the behavior? What if it's about the void it's trying to fill? What if the addict isn't running toward the high, but away from a truth they can't face? Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist who plumbed the depths of the human psyche, saw addiction not as a moral failing, but as a spiritual crisis, a desperate search for meaning in a world that feels meaningless. Why then do you keep running even when you know it's destroying you? You felt it, haven't you? The way a single drink can numb the pain of a day that felt too heavy. The way a scroll through your phone can distract you from the loneliness that creeps in at night. The way a bet can make you feel alive when everything else feels dull. But the relief is fleeting, and the crash is brutal. You're left with the same emptiness, the same ache, only now it's worse, layered with guilt, shame, and the sinking feeling that you're losing yourself. Jung would ask, what are you really craving? Is it the high, or is it something deeper, a connection, a purpose, a sense of wholeness you can't find in the chaos of your life? Addiction, he believed, is a symptom, not the disease, a sign that you're disconnected from your true self, from the part of you that knows who you are and why you're here. But why is that disconnection so hard to face? Why do you keep choosing the temporary escape over the deeper healing? The tension is suffocating. You want to break free, to stop the cycle, to feel whole again, but the craving pulls you back, whispering promises it can't keep. You've tried to quit. Maybe you've gone a day, a week, even a month without giving in. But the void remains, and with it, the urge to fill it. Jung saw this struggle as a battle of the soul, a fight between the conscious mind and the unconscious shadows you've buried. He believed that addiction is a misguided quest for the divine, a yearning for something greater that you've lost touch with. But what is that something greater? And why is it so hard to find? There's a hidden force at play, one that's been driving your addiction, one that's kept you running from the truth all along. Let's uncover it and see what Jung understood about the psychology of an addict that you've been missing. You're caught in the grip of addiction, chasing fleeting highs to escape a void you can't name, feeling the weight of shame with every relapse. Carl Jung's insight, that addiction is a cry for something deeper has sparked a question that lingers, haunting you with its implications. The hidden problem isn't the substance or behavior you turn to. It's the disconnection from your true self, a rift so profound that it drives you to numb the pain rather than face it. Let's uncover why this disconnection exists and what Jung understood about the psychology of an addict that you've been missing all along. Jung believed that addiction stems from a spiritual crisis, a disconnection from the self, the deepest part of your psyche that holds your true essence and purpose. In his work, he described the self as the center of your being, the part that connects you to something greater, something divine. But modern life, with its chaos and distractions, has severed that connection. You've been taught to seek meaning outside yourself, in achievements, relationships, or the quick fixes of addiction. Society glorifies the external, the perfect job, the perfect body, the perfect high. But these are illusions, what Jung called the persona, the mask you wear to fit in, to be accepted, to feel worthy. When you live through this mask, you lose touch with the self, and that loss creates a void, an emptiness that no substance can fill. Why do you feel so hollow, even when you have everything you're supposed to want? Philosophically, this echoes Arthur Schopenhauer's view of human suffering. Schopenhauer argued that life is driven by a blind will, a restless desire for more, for better, for escape. You chase the next high, the next distraction, because you're trying to outrun the pain of that void. But Schopenhauer would say, this chase is futile. The more you seek fulfillment in the external, the more you suffer. Because true peace comes from within, from confronting the emptiness, not fleeing it. Addiction, then, is your misguided attempt to satisfy this will, to fill the void with something tangible, a drink, a drug, a screen, when what you really need is intangible, meaning, connection, wholeness. Jung took this further, suggesting that addiction is a substitute for spiritual fulfillment, a misguided quest for the divine. You're not just craving the high, you're craving God, or whatever you call that greater force. But you've lost the path to find it. Psychologically, this disconnection has deep roots. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. It's survival. When you feel the void, the pain of disconnection, your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, flags it as a threat. You turn to addiction because it offers a quick escape, a dopamine hit that soothes the pain for a moment. But this creates a vicious cycle. Neuroscience shows that repeated use of addictive substances or behaviors rewires your brain, strengthening neural pathways for craving while weakening those for self-control. You become trapped, not just by the addiction, but by the underlying pain it's masking. The confirmation bias plays a role too. You focus on the temporary relief the addiction provides, ignoring the long-term harm, because facing the void feels too terrifying. Why does that void scare you so much? Because it's not just emptiness. It's the truth of who you are, the parts of yourself you've buried. Society fuels this problem. Aldous Huxley warned of a world that keeps you distracted, numbed by endless pleasures. You see it everywhere. Social media, binge-worthy shows, 24/7 news cycles, all designed to keep you from looking within. You're taught that happiness comes from consuming, not reflecting, from doing, not being. This cultural conditioning disconnects you from the self, leaving you vulnerable to addiction as a coping mechanism. Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz, would argue that this lack of meaning is the root of your suffering. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote that without purpose, you'll fill the void with substitutes, addiction being one of them. You're not weak. You're lost, searching for meaning in a world that's forgotten how to find it. The tension is mounting. You can feel the ache of that void, the weight of a life half-lived, the fear of facing the truth beneath your addiction. But what happens if you keep running? What happens if you never confront the disconnection, if you let the void grow unchecked? The consequences are darker, more destructive than you might think, and they're already shaping your life in ways you can't ignore. Let's dive deeper and see what's truly at stake if you don't change course. You're trapped in a cycle of addiction, running from a void you can't face, numbing the pain with fleeting highs that leave you emptier each time. Carl Jung's insight that this is a spiritual crisis, a disconnection from your true self, has revealed the hidden problem driving your struggle. The unseen consequences of this disconnection are silently unraveling your life, your relationships, and your very sense of being. They're like a slow poison, seeping into every corner of your existence. And if you don't confront the truth beneath your addiction, you risk losing more than you can imagine. Let's start with your mind. When you turn to addiction to escape the void, you're not just numbing pain. You're rewiring your brain in ways that keep you trapped. Each time you give in, whether it's a drink, a hit, or another hour scrolling, your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical that reinforces the behavior. But over time, this creates a dependency. Neuroscience shows that chronic addiction desensitizes your reward system, meaning you need more of the substance or behavior to feel the same high. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-control and decision-making, weakens. You become impulsive, reactive, unable to resist the craving even when you know it's destroying you. Ever wonder why you can't stop, even when you hate what you're doing? It's because your brain has been hijacked, prioritizing the addiction over your own survival. This doesn't just affect your mind. It shapes your entire life. Addiction isolates you, pulling you away from the people and passions that once gave you meaning. You might skip a friend's birthday to stay home with your vice, or cancel plans because you're too ashamed of the state you're in. Relationships erode as you withdraw, either because you're hiding your struggle or because the addiction makes you irritable, distant, or unreliable. You're not the person you used to be, the one who laughed easily, who showed up, who cared. Jung would say this is the loss of your persona, the mask you wear to connect with the world. But it's more than that. It's the loss of your humanity. You're not just disconnected from yourself, you're disconnected from others, leaving you more alone than ever. Why does that loneliness hurt so much? Because it's the very thing you're trying to escape. An addiction only makes it worse. The consequences ripple outward, affecting society as a whole. When you're trapped in addiction, you're not just hurting yourself, you're contributing to a collective disconnection. Jung believed that individual struggles reflect a broader spiritual crisis, and you see it everywhere. The opioid epidemic, the rise of social media addiction, the normalization of binge drinking. Society glorifies these escapes, offering endless distractions to keep you from looking within. Cognitive biases like the availability heuristic make you think addiction is normal because it's all around you. Everyone's doing it, so it must be okay. But this collective numbing keeps you and everyone else from facing the deeper truth. We're all searching for meaning, and we're all failing to find it in the ways we've been taught. Your addiction isn't just personal. It's a symptom of a world that's lost its soul. The stakes are higher than you realize. Every moment you spend running from the void is a moment you're not living your true purpose. You feel it, don't you? the quiet ache of a life slipping away, the fear that you're meant for more but can't break free to find it. If you keep going like this, you risk losing everything: your health, your relationships, your sense of self. Addiction doesn't just destroy your body, it destroys your spirit, leaving you a shell of who you could be. Viktor Frankl, who found meaning in the horrors of Auschwitz, would warn that this loss of purpose is a death of its own, a death of the soul. You're not just risking your life, you're risking your existence, your chance to live a life that matters. You can't keep running. The void isn't going away, and neither is the addiction that feeds on it. But there's a way out, a path to break free from this cycle and reconnect with the self Jung spoke of. It's not about willpower or shame. It's about a radical shift in how you see yourself, your addiction, and the world around you. You're on the edge of a breakthrough, a way to reclaim your life and find the meaning you've been searching for. Let's take that step and discover how to rebel against the forces that have kept you trapped. You've seen the devastating consequences of your addiction, how it's rewired your brain, isolated you, and contributed to a collective spiritual crisis, all while keeping you disconnected from your true self. The void you've been running from has only grown, and the addiction that numbs it has left you on the brink of losing everything. Here's the rebellion Carl Jung's wisdom urges you to embrace. Stop running from the void and turn toward it. The path to breaking free isn't about fighting the addiction. It's about facing the deeper pain it masks, reconnecting with yourself, and finding the meaning you've been searching for all along. This is a radical shift, one that will empower you to reclaim your life and transform your struggle into a journey of healing. The first step is to confront the void head-on. Jung believed that addiction is a symptom of a spiritual crisis, a disconnection from the self, the core of your being that holds your true purpose. That void you feel isn't just emptiness, it's the absence of connection to that deeper part of you. Stop numbing it with the addiction and start listening to it. Take a moment right now, put down the bottle, the phone, whatever you're clinging to, and sit in silence. Ask yourself, what am I really running from? Maybe it's the pain of a childhood wound, the fear of failure, or the loneliness you've never admitted. Write down one thing you've been avoiding, something that hurts to think about. This act of naming the pain is revolutionary. It brings the void into the light, where it can no longer control you from the shadows. Psychologically, this reduces the amygdala's fear response, calming the panic that drives you to escape and opens the door to healing. Now reframe your addiction as a guide, not an enemy. Jung saw addiction as a misguided quest for the divine, a yearning for wholeness, for connection to something greater. That bottle, that screen, that high, it's not what you truly crave. You're craving meaning, purpose, the self you've lost touch with. Instead of fighting the addiction, ask, what does this craving tell me I need? If you drink to numb loneliness, maybe you need real connection. If you scroll to escape failure, maybe you need to redefine success. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole by integrating all parts of yourself, even the painful ones. Think of someone like Russell Brand, who overcame addiction by turning inward, finding spiritual meaning through meditation and service. Your addiction isn't a failure. It's a signpost pointing you toward what you truly need. Practically, this means small, intentional steps to reconnect with yourself. Start with a daily practice of reflection. Every morning, take 10 minutes to journal. Write about what you feel, what you fear, what you long for. Don't judge, just let the words flow. This builds a bridge to your unconscious, where the self resides, helping you uncover the truths you've buried. Meditation can help too. Sit in silence, focus on your breath, and let the void speak. You might feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is where growth begins. Neurologically, these practices strengthen neural pathways for self-awareness, reducing the brain's dependency on dopamine-driven escapes. Over time, the craving for the addiction weakens because you're filling the void with something real, connection to yourself. This rebellion goes against everything society teaches you. The world wants you to stay distracted, to keep consuming, to avoid the pain at all costs. But Jung's path is about depth, not distraction. Philosophically, this aligns with Viktor Frankl's belief that meaning is the antidote to suffering. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote that even in the darkest moments, purpose can sustain you. Stop seeking purpose in the external, in the high, in the approval of others, and start seeking it within. This might mean finding a spiritual practice, like prayer or mindfulness, or a creative outlet, like painting or writing, that lets you express your true self. You're not just breaking free from addiction. You're breaking free from a life of emptiness, stepping into one of meaning. It won't be easy. Society will tempt you with quick fixes, and your brain will fight, craving the familiar escape. But every time you choose reflection over numbing, you grow stronger. You start to feel the shift. Relationships deepen, shame fades, and a quiet strength emerges. Jung's rebellion isn't just about overcoming addiction. It's about rediscovering who you are, about living a life aligned with your deepest truth. As we move to the final truth, you'll see how this journey isn't just a way to break free. It's a way to transform, to find the wholeness you've been searching for all along. Are you ready to step fully into that light? The ultimate truth, the final, most powerful realization, 900 words. You've rebelled against the forces that kept you trapped in addiction, choosing to face the void rather than numb it, reconnecting with the self Carl Jung described as the core of your being. You've stopped running, started listening, and taken the first steps toward meaning through reflection, spiritual practice, and self-expression. But on this Monday, May 19th, 2025, at 0:47 p.m. +7, here's the ultimate truth Jung's wisdom reveals. Your addiction was never the problem. It was the messenger. The true path to freedom, to wholeness, lies in embracing the void as the gateway to your divine purpose, transforming your struggle into a sacred journey of becoming who you were always meant to be. This revelation redefines everything, turning your pain into power, your addiction into a guide, and your life into a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Jung believed that addiction is a spiritual crisis, a yearning for the divine that you've misdirected into substances or behaviors. But the ultimate truth goes deeper. That yearning, that void, is the very thing that makes you human. It's your soul's call to connect with the infinite, to find your place in the greater whole. Your addiction was a search for purpose in all the wrong places. But now you see the truth. Purpose isn't something you find outside yourself. It's something you create within, by embracing the void and listening to its wisdom. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole by integrating all parts of yourself, the light and the shadow, the pain and the potential. Your addiction was a shadow, a cry from the parts of you you've ignored. But by facing it, you've turned that shadow into light, into a path toward wholeness. Psychologically, this realization is transformative. When you stop seeing addiction as a failure and start seeing it as a messenger, you break the cycle of shame that's kept you trapped. Shame floods your brain with cortisol, keeping you in a state of fear and self-loathing. But embracing the void as sacred shifts that narrative. You're no longer a victim of addiction. You're a seeker of meaning, a warrior of the soul. This shift reduces stress, allowing your prefrontal cortex to regain control, strengthening your ability to make choices aligned with your true self. You might find yourself drawn to new passions, writing, meditating, helping others, because you're no longer filling the void with escapes. You're filling it with purpose. Studies show that finding meaning rewires neural pathways, reducing cravings and fostering resilience, turning your struggle into a source of strength. This changes how you live. You walk through the world differently now, with a quiet certainty, a sense of purpose that radiates from within. You're not the person you were, the one who hid, who numbed, who ran. You're someone who's faced the void and found the divine within it. Someone who's turned pain into power. Think of someone like Eckhart Tolle, who transformed his own suffering into a spiritual awakening, inspiring millions to find presence and purpose. You can do the same, turning your addiction into a story of redemption, a testament to the human capacity for growth. Picture this. You're back in that dimly lit room, but now the air feels different, lighter, clearer, alive with possibility. The bottle, the screen, the crutch, they're still there, but they hold no power over you. You faced the void, sat with its silence, and heard its call. You found the divine within you, a purpose, a meaning, a wholeness that no addiction can touch. Your struggle has become your strength, your addiction a guide that led you home to yourself. This is Jung's ultimate truth. The void is where you find your soul, and your soul is where you find your freedom. Step into that freedom, live it, and let it transform you into the person you were always meant to be. You've journeyed through Carl Jung's profound insights, facing the void of addiction and discovering its sacred purpose, a call to reconnect with your true self, to find meaning in the emptiness, and to transform your struggle into a path of wholeness. You've learned that your addiction was never the enemy. It was a messenger, guiding you to the divine within. You've become someone new, a seeker of purpose, a warrior of the soul, radiating a quiet strength that no high can match. Start today. Take one small step to embrace the void. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Journal one fear you've been running from, or share your truth with someone you trust. Ask yourself, what does my craving tell me I need? Then, act. Maybe it's a walk in nature, a prayer, or a creative project that lets your soul speak. These acts of connection are how you heal, how you find the meaning you've been searching for, one moment at a time. How does it feel to see your addiction as a guide? Share in the comments. What's one step you'll take today to face the void, and how did it change you? Your story could inspire someone else to begin their journey. If this resonated with you, hit the like button. It lets us know you want more content like this. Subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next dive into psychology and self-discovery. Share this with someone who's struggling with addiction. They might need this message to start their own path to healing. The world will keep offering escapes, but now you know the truth. You don't need to run anymore. The void is your teacher, the addiction your guide, and the self your destination. Step into that sacred space, listen to its wisdom, and build a life of purpose. A life where you're not defined by what you've lost, but by what you've found. The divine within you.